Hi there, I'm Stephanie Shanti, and it's time for your yoga snack. So this month's yoga snack is going to be, I thought I'd do you 3 Yin twists. So 3 different twists from Yin yoga, which we'll hold for like a minute, 1 to 3 minutes on each side, each of the 3. And they work in different kind of areas of the body. So the first one is going to be a twist where we've got the lower back kind of curved, so we'll be on our backs, the knees will be into our chest, and we'll go into a twist, taking the knees off to one side. So the first one will be with the lumbar spine flexed, or kind of a little forward bend in the lower back. The second twist will be with the kind of lower back, I want to say straight, but it's not straight, with its natural curves. So we'll do that. And then the third little twist is going to be with a bit of a back bend. And that can be quite challenging. So make sure you've got enough padding and bolsters to kind of bring the floor up to meet you so that you can be comfortable. So I'm going to be using 2 blankets, and I've got a bolster handy for these twists. So let's start with the first one. We're going to come onto our backs and just have your equipment near you, and we'll just come into kind of a nice restful position. If it's comfortable for you to have the knees moving in towards each other and the feet wide, you can relax and just kind of feel that widens the back of the pelvis there. And if that's not comfortable, stretch your legs out and just come to ground. You can have normal Shavasana position or this kind of bent knees, relax. So just take a few deep breaths. And just allow your body to ground on the floor. And feel a bit of weight as you breathe out. Just feeling your body kind of sinking into the earth. I'll give you a few options for these twists. And because it's Yin yoga, we hold for a long time. We really want to be relaxed. So if it's not relaxing, then, we want to feel some sensation, don't get me wrong. We'll feel that there is some kind of stretch sensation. But we're not really going beyond, and we're not kind of striving to be, and we're not holding ourselves in position. We want to be able to then keep the shape of the position, but relax kind of inside it. And if that's not possible, then you want to back out and find somewhere that's more comfortable that you can actually stay. So what we'll do is we're going to twist the knees to the left, but we're going to move the hips to the right just to begin with. So bring the feet and the knees parallel. Just lift up the hips and just bring them just a touch to the right. And then we're going to have a little forward bend in the lower back. So we're going to lift the knees in towards us. And then we're going to just let the knees fall quite high to the chest. So we've got this nice forward bend in the lower back. Let them fall to the floor and just see where they land. So mine just want to kind of sprawl out. I'm going to use my left hand just to, not to clamp, but just to encourage that top leg to wait. You could have a bolster underneath the legs, in between the legs, or even on top of the legs to give that weight. Now, I've twisted and I've got this kind of nice flattening in the lower back here. I'm going to try and open my chest to the floor, which means I might bring these left ribs towards the left. And because my right shoulder is not falling to the floor, I'm going to keep my elbow on the floor and my hands on my lower ribs so it's not yanking my shoulder too much. I'm just going to have my head turned up to the sky. I'm going to settle in and try and relax everything I can. So I can immediately feel that my hand is really kind of clenching. Bit by bit, as gravity helps me relax my bottom leg and then my top leg, I might be able to kind of still have that tiny little bit of weight on my hand, but allow that leg to just soften, the fingers to soften. I'm going to allow time and space for the body to just bit by bit let go. And every now and then you feel these little shudders as something lets go. And we're looking for, we're saying, in 60% of the stretch capacity. So I'm not going into what I'd call a yang stretch where the muscles are really working. You know, in a normal hatha class or a vinyasa class, you might be looking at 100% stretch, but we don't hold that for too long. At the yin, we're looking for like, come back just over halfway of your actual capacity so that then you can stay and soften. And a surrender to gravity. You've got like gravity then taking over and letting those legs drop to the earth. Let the pelvis drop to the earth. Let the rib cage and shoulders drop to the earth and feel the head really, really heavy. And if it's not comfortable for you to twist, or if there's any pain, then that is just a contraindication itself. Often if people have disc issues in the lumbar spine, in the lower back, and twisting is not, it doesn't feel good. If there's any pain, just come out. Find something comfortable. And then we're going to just gently roll back. So I like to bring my feet in towards my bottom, roll onto my back. I'm going to bring my knees into my chest as if I'm hugging myself into a ball. And then very gently bringing one leg at a time, one foot at a time to the floor. And where my hips have gone off to the right, I might have to just center the hips and the rib cage. I can just pause here between sides, back in my relaxation position with the knees touching. Or I can lengthen the legs out and just feel the difference. Let the body unwind, so take some time. And we'll do the second side. So I'm going to bring the feet flat on the floor, knees and feet parallel. Because I'm going to twist, I'm actually going to move away from the wall because I have a wall here, but because I'm going to twist to the right, I'm going to move my hips a little bit to the left. And then because I want this kind of forward bend in my lower back, I'm bringing the knees right up in towards the chest. And then I'm going to take them over. Don't worry about that left shoulder coming up. Settle the legs first. So you could have the legs fall on the bolster. You could have a bolster between your knees. You could have a bolster, I quite like sometimes just having a bolster on top. And then to get this left shoulder down or comfortable, I might need to bring the right ribs to the right. And instead of kind of yanking the shoulder blade down, reaching into a cactus or a long arm, I'm just going to place my fingers on my ribs. I'm actually going to move this because I don't need it, but it is a nice trick to have in your tool bag. So just resting the fingertips and then just starting to let go as much as you can. Head centered. And just starting to go through the body. Allow little movements. If my top knee likes to come up a little bit, that's fine. Maybe if there wasn't a wall here, my feet would be moving away from my bottom, that's fine. Just let yourself find the shape that suits you. And then start to let the bottom leg fall towards the floor. Become heavy. Start to let the top leg become heavy. Start to let the pelvis drop to the earth. The rib cage drop to the earth. The arms, the shoulders, the head. And if you find comfort in these positions and you want to try them again, you can hold them for like up to 5 minutes. Because we're not having to use much effort in the poses. They can be longer holds. We're going to hold them for about 1 to 2 minutes. You want to hold for at least 1 minute. 1 minute will give you some range of motion effects, and then kind of 90 seconds, 2 minute mark, we can start working on like deeper issues, anti-inflammatory, nervous system response. And you're trying to hold the shape but relax in the shape. And we've gone to kind of 60% of our stretch capacity, and then we've just settled. And it's funny how when you hold for a longer period of time, you sometimes get this realization of a tight bit that you didn't even know. An opportunity to really be mindful about what's going on and to learn the patterns of your body, see where you can drop, where you're guarding, where you're holding tension. Maybe you need tension in some bits and that's fine. But letting go of anything you can let go of. And then we're going to come out. So I'm going to bring my feet in towards my bottom, my knees in towards my chest so that I can come out in a nice ball. And then bring one foot at a time back. Come back onto my mat. You can come back to this kind of constructive rest or stretching the legs out, whichever feels better for your body. So that was our first twist with kind of a forward bend in the lower back where we have the knees up into our chest. So the second twist is going to be with kind of your normal lower back. So it might be easier or less effortful, and you can play around with this. The very simple way to do this is with the knees bent and the feet flat on the floor, just to drop the legs over to one side. And some people might like to do that with crossed legs or with kind of just bringing that ankle over the top of the knee. Or you might try kind of eagle crossing the legs. Again, you can have something underneath your thigh. That's quite comfy for me. And we're really not looking to stretch the body a lot. Actually, I quite like the simple, just put your legs onto one side. And if you find a different variation, that's fine. We're just kind of lifting this right pelvis. I've taken my knees to the left, so my right pelvis is lifted up a little bit. Very simple. You could bring one foot on top of the other and just have the knees hanging. So simple. Just giving a different kind of stretch to the lower back. And holding for some time, so just allowing yourself to rest as long as there's no pain. Pain is the biggest contraindication. Especially in the knees, you can feel that maybe this top leg, you could be stretching in theory, and pulling the knee. So if there's any pain in the knee, just come out, find a different position, often just bringing that leg up or finding a different position can actually release that. You could cross either leg. Find it quite hard to stay in those positions, but you can play around with it. And then I'm going to take another 3 deep breaths. And then very gently, you're just going to come back up. So there's not much going on in the upper back with this one. I'm going to keep the lower back as it is. Just come back to this kind of neutral position. I've come back to kind of a constructive rest where the back of my pelvis is flat. You could stretch your legs out. like I did before, if you want to take your hips over a little bit to the opposite side before you roll, that can really change things for you. I'm going to go to the other side. Again, I'm just keeping it really super simple. This time I've moved my hips just to kind of demonstrate that you can do that. You can keep them in the center, or you can move them in the opposite way. Knees and feet are parallel, and all I've done is just taken them over to the side. I'm not using any equipment. You could easily kind of bring the knees on top of each other, have a bolster between the knees, something underneath the knees. You could hook the other way. So just have a play. I'm going for minimal effort because it's November. I've got a slight extra twist here in the waist because I moved my hips to one side. That might be nice. Obviously, sometimes you feel different things on different sides because different sides are tighter than each other. So I can feel a lot more going this side. It's still kind of nice, 60%. And then I'm just going to really hold the shape. See what I can let go of. I can feel that the bottom leg can be a little bit heavier. I can let go of the pelvis, the pelvic floor, the belly even. I can see where I'm tightening up, maybe the neck and the shoulders. And just letting the breath be nice and slow. Don't have to force that. Just kind of focusing in on sensations. It gives you something to do in the stillness and silence as well. Just tracing sensations. Just seeing where the sensations, how far the sensations go. So you might have the big sensations where you're feeling, but then tracing the sensations up and down and front and back, and just seeing like how far you can trace those. And then we're getting ready to come back. And if you're crossed or you've got equipment, just move, come back to center. If you shifted the hips, shift them back. Just get yourself into a nice position to relax and feel. That's the rebound as you kind of recoil from that stretch sensation that you've kind of lengthened lines of tension in the body, gently lengthened, and then you've held them. And so when you release, it's just that kind of echo in the body, gentle recoil. And if twists are safe for your body, they're unbelievably relaxing for us. They're kind of like wringing us out, giving us torsion. So for the last one, I'm going to bend the knees, come onto the side. And I'm sorry about the hole in my trousers that I've just realised. We're going to do a twist that kind of combines a bit of a back bend as well. And as usual, there are different ways you can do this, and there's lots and lots of variations, so all the variations aren't going to be for everybody. And you probably want to have a blanket definitely for your head by the end, and then maybe you'll want one for the shoulder as well. So I'll move this bolster out of the way. I'm going to have a blanket behind me so that if when I twist, I'm going to roll back. If I need it for that top shoulder, it'll be in place. And I'm going to have my blanket for my head there. And I'm going to come forward so that you can see me. So the first thing we do is lie on the side. And you can lie on a blanket and your arm's going to be out. Now the top leg can kind of come across you like that. So it doesn't have to stay bent. It doesn't have to be very high. But your bottom leg, you're going to take that back so that it's heading for the sensation of a back bend. So the knee really moving towards the bottom of your mat. And then this might mean that that top leg doesn't want to stay exactly as it was, really high and straight. And what you're going to try and do is you can take hold of that foot if you want. Not everyone is going to be able to hold that foot. You can just drop that foot and have the hand behind you on the hip. And then don't worry if this is a bit uncomfortable. We'll make this head a bit more comfortable. So if you're holding on to that foot, you keep hold and you just let this top shoulder start to drop back. And then what you're going to do is just start to roll onto your back, at which point you're going to want that pillow. Oops, what's happened to my pillow? I'm going to fold it over. Make a nice pillow for my head. Got hold of my foot, and now this leg's popping up, so you could bolster that, or you could bend it, or you can weight it with your arm. So we've got a little bit of a twist and we've got a little bit of a back bend. And again, this top leg can be bolstered, it can be straight, it can be bent. You can have it just your arms out, just holding the pose, or you can give it some weight. I'm actually going to bring bolster underneath my leg because that will be even more luxurious. And I still can take hold of that foot behind me. So I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to rest here. And I didn't need my shoulder blanket in the end, but you could have that other blanket underneath that shoulder. And then we're going to hold for time. And so the key thing for me is to get this top leg to start to relax so that I don't have to hold on and use so much effort. And maybe you've got somewhere that just kind of needs to let go a little bit. Safely, you can analyse how to kind of let yourself let go safely. Staying in the pose but trying to let, you can feel maybe these little shudders of the tissues starting to let go. Maybe it's the inner thighs, maybe it's the outer hips, the buttocks. Maybe it's the ribs. You've got like the loudest sensations first. And if you are not able to relax in the pose, then you do need to kind of back out a little bit and find a different variation. Because the thing is, if you're holding with force and you can't relax, then in a way that actually makes your body fight more and it makes you harder, not softer. So it actually goes against what you're trying to do. Every now and then you might want to have a little sigh. It's remarkable with time what lets go. just taking a couple of deep breaths, sinking as much as you can. And then when you're going to come out of the pose, you're going to gently let go of that back foot and just roll back. Bring your pillow with you. Roll back towards the side that you started on. Just have a little breath there. So I'm just going to leave the bolster where it is. Maybe you've got your knees hugging into your chest. And then with or without the blanket under your head, come back to centre and just again pause in between sides and have a little rebound and just becoming aware of what's been happening. You might feel that kind of twisting, spiral, letting go. It's my favourite bit actually, coming out. And you can feel like that nervous system response of the twisting. So let's do the last side. I'm going to move my bolster out of the way. And oops, I'm going to have my extra blanket just in case I need it for my shoulder. So that will be behind me. I'm going to do it the other way so you can see what's going on this time. So I'm starting off on my back. No, I'm not. I'm starting off on my side. And actually I need to come a little bit away from the wall. And this top leg is going to stretch out. I haven't got all that much room to stretch out, so I'm going to keep my leg bent. That's easy. The back leg, the bottom leg, oh my goodness. Top leg stretching out. See how delirious I've become with relaxation. The bottom knee is going to stretch down towards the bottom of my mat and back into a back bend. And then I could lift that foot up and I can take hold either the little toe side or the big toe side. And then if that is not comfortable, then I can release that. If it's not safe for my knee, I can let that take my left shoulder back. And then I'm going to just lean back. Am I still on the camera? I've come right off my mat. And then just decide what props you'd like. Have a little wriggle, get yourself comfy. Make sure you've got something under your head. You do kind of need something under your head here. You could leave that leg and put your hand on under your head if you didn't have a blanket. And you could do this without taking hold of that foot. It's wringing out the whole of the body. You could have a bolster under that top leg if you wanted, like I had before. You could have a blanket underneath that left shoulder. Did I have my blanket here? I could have it underneath the shoulder just to give it some support. So nice. This top leg could be straight, but I prefer mine bent. And then I just let gravity do the rest. And with Yin, it's a reasonably relaxing experience, although this is, a more intense posture, I suppose. But I'm not stretching in a really yang way. Like, I'm not trying to hold everything. I'm not trying to worry about alignment and keeping. I'm letting myself come out of the pose as much as I want. And then I'm just going to try and hold a version that's kind of 60% of my capacity. Stay in the shape. And start to rest. And just work out what I could let go of. Tracing sensations from the most intense up and down and forward and back, just noticing creeping sensations. And watching, discovering how different we are on both sides. So interesting. We don't even need to try and balance out the sides. All we have to do is notice and respect those tension patterns. They're functional. They allow us to move the way we move. If we didn't have any tension, we'd be just blobs on the floor. Taking your last 2 really deep breaths here. Seeing what you can let go of. And the more you practice these postures, the more you get exactly the right props for your body. You get your favourite ways of doing things. It's very laissez-faire, this practice. And then you can let that foot go if you were holding it. Let that top leg go and start to roll yourself back onto the side you started. Take your pillow with you. Pause there for a breath. And then finally we come back onto the back. So there's some lovely twist ideas. They can be simple, they can be more complex, they can be nourishing and padded. And then coming back to that rebound, that moment of rest. The unwinding, the spiral, the unspiral. And if you have time to rest a bit more deeply here after twists, you can really use that time. So, I'm coming out, but you can stay if you have the time. I'm going to roll onto my side and come up. And I'm going to bid you farewell until the next little snack. Have a great day.